Hi, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, first off, before I even get into the topic, happy new moon, because I know there's a new moon coming, and I'm just grabbing my notes. I forgot to put on my lap. Today, I want to talk about is witchcraft enough? Is it enough for you? Is it enough? Are you someone right now? I'm asking, is this it? Have I reached master level witch? Is this the end of it? Um, so that's what we're going to talk about. And I want to talk about this because I have been there. I've been there at least two times on my journey that I have had to question, do I really want to do this? Like, is this fulfilling, and so forth. So anyway, let me go ahead and just get into it. So first thing is to even get to the point where if you can answer the question, you have to be willing to ask the question, right? So be willing to ask yourself, are you truly being fulfilled with your witchcraft? Now, this is not about spell work because there are people who call themselves witches and practice the craft, and they don't actually cast spells. That is possible. So this isn't a question to say, unless you want it to be, if that's how your practice is set up. But this isn't one of those things where we're making it about if your spells work. I'm going to dig a little bit more deeper than that. So, in times of stress, conflict, even good times, whatever the extreme situation is, where does your practice come into play? Does it ever come into play? Does it only come into play when times are hard? That sort of stuff. You need to start asking yourself those questions because this will help you understand if you're being fulfilled at your current level of how you're practicing or not. So, I don't know. I have my notes here, and I'm just saying. I have some suggestions basically on how to make your witchcraft practice mean more to you. This is how I approached it. First step is ritual. Include ritual. Now, ritual can be as grandiose as you choose it to be. It doesn't have to be something where you're wearing long robes and there's candles everywhere and you're trying to maintain doing something on this elaborate scale every other night or even weekly. What I would suggest is finding small rituals and exacting them. For instance, the coffee, tea, or whatever your morning drink is, ritual, it becomes something more. You put your positive day's intention. Taking a shower, taking a bath, that becomes a spiritual thing. You add a little something to your shampoo or your soap so that, maybe a blessed essential oil. When are you blessing it? When you want to. You don't have to wait for a specific moon phase. That would be great if it, aligned that way. But we're trying to get you level up your witchcraft and get you to feel a little bit more secure and fulfilled with it. So right now, just do those small things, but you're doing a lot of little small things almost daily, which I'll get to that in a moment. Journaling. Don't underestimate journaling. Journaling, it doesn't have to be words because I understand not everybody is a writer. They don't feel confident or comfortable, or it just, I know there are some people, they see a blank page and it just don't work. They can, talk and think it out, but just getting it on that paper is difficult. I totally understand that. Sometimes art journaling might be your answer. Sometimes digital journaling could be your answer. You ever hear of a thing called Pinterest? Create secret boards and put your things up, but that's a representation of how you feel about your witchcraft. Things that are motivating, things that make you curious, things that, whatever the imagery is, or, there's all types of stuff on Pinterest that you can pin as long as it means something to you, but make it a standard practice to do that. Otherwise, traditional, just keep a journal and, write stuff down. A card of the day. I saw a feather, there was a shadow outside of my head. You write that kind of stuff down. You're creating a little, a grimoire, but basically a magical journal, your witchy journal of your experiences. It's good to look back sometimes when you're not sure anymore where you fit on this path, if you even fit on this path. Maybe you need to look to see exactly where have been evolving from up until that point. Um, do more witchy things more often. Back to the ritual, the shower spell, the coffee spell. Maybe start adding a food blessing if you don't already. If you're not comfortable with this specific god or goddess or even any sort of spirit, just think, especially if you're eating meat, thank the animal for its life. Thank the plants for their lives. Even if you're eating, I just had an Impossible Whopper, right? So there, we understand it's all made in a lab and all that sort of stuff, and then fries. I'm still thankful. You're thankful to the scientists who created this. I'm grateful that they did that for my sustenance. Whatever it is, find something. You don't have to speak it out loud. It's something you can think, but you're prompting yourself to do this on a regular basis. Hence, ritual. Other things you can do if you are fortunate enough to have candles, several candles that you can burn. Maybe as soon as you start the day, burn a candle. And that candle could be representing kind of the start of your day. It could be like a switch on to your magic. When I light this candle, so does the magic of the day begin. And whatever you want that magic to consist of, that's what happens. When you walk out the door, go to work, school, or whatever, run errands, you can, I wouldn't say blow the candle out, just I don't blow candles out. Not the magical ones. What I do is I usually I use a snuffer or just something, a piece of paper or a book, and I just put over top to extinguish the flame. You cut off the oxygen. To extinguish the flame, I do that. So you can do that and then say some words until I return. The magic continues. You can add something, when I light it again, it will have more power or say it however you want it. But hopefully you get the point of where I'm going with this. You're making this concerted effort to speak about magic on a regular basis. So that's what I meant by do more witchy things. Of course, there's the standard stuff that we could do, but I like to think of more practical things that I know people might actually be able to really do. And most people aren't going to leave the house with a candle going. So work in some sort of saying, charm, or something that kind of is like a trigger when you extinguish the flame, so that it doesn't mean the magic ends. It maybe there's another phase or something like that. So do that sort of stuff. Commune with like-minded people. Easier said than done, right? I know that to be true. Even if you're in a position like me, you're not physically able to be around people who are like-minded, there's always online. There's me. Hey, I'll be your friend because I'm struggling right now, and I want to struggle bus with pagan friends. I'm cool with that. So, just when I say talk to people, sometimes honestly, if you're in a closed Facebook group or if you're in any sort of chat, because I know there's certain channels like Discord or something like that. Anyway, that you can have maybe conversations and talk. After a while, people start to see it's the same people, and you start interacting with them. And it usually just starts like that. The more you interact, the more people get to know you. You get to know them, and then it becomes a thing where you're just always talking to them. They're friends that just happen to be online. But do that. Get in the habit of reaching out to people, and don't just read things or look at things and not comment, especially if you kind of have a question or you want to add something. It's not always you trying to ask a question. Maybe you have something more to add. Do that. Comment. Get involved. It keeps you immersed. That's something I know the Abrahamic religions do. Community is a big deal, and staying within a community because everybody's on the same page, spiritually speaking. So you take the same philosophy. Get involved with people who are very similar, have similar beliefs as you. Practice. They may not practice exactly the way you do, but that's okay. The point is they're open. They're doing their own practice, but they are practicing. So that's a good thing. So these are just ways to add some more fulfillment that you can do. And I don't think I said anything that's impossible. I didn't tell you to go buy anything. The special tools, candles, you can go to the dollar store for that. You can use scented candles you already have, just bless them. It's all about speaking your intention. I know people say that, but generally speaking, it really is just about speaking your intentions. It's not about all this other stuff, and you can't mess it up. You can't take it. You can take a dollar store candle, speak your intentions to it, and it'll work. I believe that. Yes, I do believe that. I know there's some memes going around like, "Oh, your spell didn't work because you use dollar store candles or something like that." And I said, "Are we really creating I don't know, division on where the candles came from? We know how manufacturing, distributing works. What was made at the dollar stores was sold at the Walmart, was sold at the online store, and so forth. People, please. Anyway, all right. There is another piece to this, and this is what I did. Sometimes you need to take a break. There was a time, story time, there was a time, one of the times that I definitely felt completely disconnected uh, from a spiritual witchcraft point of view, the whole thing. I just disconnected. I was aware. I wasn't closed off. I didn't feel a connection. I had a lot of turmoil happening in my life. It was during that. No, it wasn't that time. That was the first one. No, it was basically there was a lot going on in the financial world. And I can't, for some reason, I'm telling the story, I can't get the year straight. But that's not the point. The point is, there was a lot going on financially, and my husband's working, he was doing contract work mostly, and all that dried up, and it caused severe financial disaster for us. So much that we had to live in a temporary situation with family. It was like 4 months, but let me tell you something. When you're as grown as we are, and we've lived well, we've done very well. So, to get to that point of that just uncertainty for those 4 months was scary. But anyway, during that time, I just I didn't feel my witchiness. I didn't feel like a witch. I didn't feel like I could make any change. I felt like I was just in the middle of an ocean, drowning. And every now and then I was able to come up and get air, but I felt like I was being forced under again. And that's how I felt like I was existing. So, spirituality, meditate, I didn't do any of that because I could not get my brain to go. And I just made a commitment to myself that it's okay, forgive yourself, take a break. Your body, like your mental state can only handle so much. There were so many things, and if you've gone through major financial upheaval and you've got kids, you got a family, it's not just about you. Everybody is dealing with it, and if you're the mom, you and the wife, you have to be compassionate and very empathetic for everyone else, and somehow still maintain your sanity and your peace. And it was just it felt relentless, and it felt really like I want to say a dark time. We lived where we were staying, we had access to the beach. So what helped me is whenever possible was to go to the beach. And for me, staring out into the ocean, this was as far as I went anything spiritual for months. I was just look out at the ocean. I didn't, and just be. And I would just look, and all I was thinking is, this ocean is so vast, and I'm so little. And I know for some people, they can have two trains of thought that could give comfort, like me. Other people, that kind of freaks them out a little bit because you just feel insignificant. But in my mind, I thought, my issues are insignificant. And I would think, there's so much going on. This whole ocean has all this life, and it's so vast. And I'm just this little speck. And then I would just, in my head, like, picture like being a drone or something, and I can see the camera, and I'm looking down on me in the ocean, and it's just going out, up into the clouds, up into space. This is what I would do. And I would just kind of just imagine this in my head, and I would just think, I'm so small. I'm just a speck, and everything that's happening is just so small. And this period of time is just a little small speck in my life. And that brought me comfort This is how I think. And if you agree, if you're somebody kind of get what I'm saying, let me know in the comments. That brought me peace knowing my problems were not that big because this ocean is huge. I was literally just like comparing my life, my problems, my issues, everything that was currently happening to the vastness of the ocean. And I'm like, and everything that's in it, like, then my stuff means nothing. And I've lived so long, in my, for me, so many years have gone by that I've walked this earth, and I'm having this experience. It's been just a small period of time. Anyway, it helped, but that's as far as I went spiritually. Witchiness, witchcraft, being a witch, as far as I could go. When I would go to the ocean, that was my level of spirituality, and that was enough. And I felt guilty at first because I felt like I should know how to do a spell to get us out of this. But there was the higher self telling me at that time to be still and not fix it, which is a whole other story time, which I'll be happy to give that story on, speaking about, femininity and masculinity and understanding a little bit the dynamics of relationships and when you jump in and when you don't. And be willing to, when you stand back and be still, sometimes things fall apart, sometimes things fall down, and it can be hard getting up from it, but you weren't meant to put it together. And when I say you weren't, meaning fate, meaning if you have spirit guides, ancestors, even though you're not reaching out, they're still following you. They're still watching out for you. And I felt like even though they knew I wasn't in the mental space to interact, but they still watched out for me. And they told me, if this is going to work, you can't make this happen. And that's another story, but we'll get to that. Anyway, maybe you need a break. So I took a break. And I was able to once my mundane life began to get back into order, I was able to link everything else with that. I was able to put my mind at ease long enough to get back into practicing witchcraft. So, more practical approaches, just to add more substance to your witchcraft. These are the more common things. Read a book, read books, read blogs, watch YouTube videos like this channel, where you are going to get some information and a more practical approach. There's nothing wrong with the more esoteric stuff. There's nothing wrong with, and I love that too. I'll talk about it here. I'm good with that, but if you're in this space that I'm talking about in this video where you're trying to make your witchcraft more fulfilling, you're going to want practical approaches, because we can always add flair. We can always add more stuff. We can add more candles. We can dress up in costume or, spiritual robes or what have you. We can do a whole aesthetic to fit a certain thing that we're doing. But there has to be something rooted in practicality for it to make sense to you, for you to connect to it, especially if you're in this space. So look for people who speak about practical witchcraft. It doesn't matter if it's Wicca or anything else, just practical witchcraft, practical ways. If it's somebody who is practicing an ATR and they talk about, libations in the morning, or, giving a little water to the earth, to ancestors, or the way they water their plants or something like that. The point is the water element, right? And it's giving some sort of offering. Yeah, pay attention to those. Are practical approaches. It doesn't matter if you subscribe to practicing an ATR. That's not what this is about. The point is you can take that. That's something very simple that you can do in the morning. You can get water and you can use it as an offering and pour it into your plants. You can go outside in the morning as part of ritual and pour it to the ground and say, this is for your ancestors. You pour this for your ancestors or your spirit guides or whatever. The point is, something very practical. That people who were talking like that, they're your friend. Books who were talking about, maybe just Wicca 101 stuff, that's your friend. You need to get excited a little bit, and then you can build from there. Obviously commit to a daily ritual. And then finally, I talked about like-minded people, but really immerse yourself in witchcraft. So Here are some fun ways. Read fiction books on witchcraft. There's a bunch of them. I have Kindle Unlimited, and there's tons of books where it's like they're what they call mystery cozies. So, the main character is a witch, and somebody was killed and she solved the murder. All kinds of stuff like that. So those are my jam. I love reading those types of books, and maybe writing them. But anyway, yeah, get into that. Get into that sort of stuff. Movies, series. There's something on Netflix right now I'm binging. Cursed. Yeah, I think it's called Cursed. Yeah, get into immerse yourself in witchcraft culture. Stay into it. It's not about believing in anything that you see. It's more of just immersion. Because there's symbols and signs and messaging that will come to you, even though that's fictional. But the point is, you can be influenced in a positive way by it. Obviously, YouTube. Immerse yourself in some witchy YouTube channels. Facebook groups, I talked about that before, or any other kind of like chat group, or I say Facebook because I just know there's a lot of them, and I personally belong to quite a few. But fake closed groups, join them. And if you have joined them and nothing's happening, look for other ones where they're a little bit more active and start jumping in conversations, add comments and things like that. And create a witchy craft. Do something. I had a video not too long ago where I did a witch protection bottle, working by the way. Do that. Do something, anything you want. I talked in another video about taking a ribbon around like the 7-day candles, the glass candles, using a ribbon, using the color that corresponds to what you want, and a hot glue gun, and just taking the time and wrapping it. Maybe put a symbol on the or words or whatever else on the candle first with a marker on the glass, and then wrap it to make it secret. You could do a bunch of those ahead of time, and they all have different intentions and different purposes, but they're ready to go. You can choose to burn it with the ribbon on, or it might be part of a ritual where when it's time to burn it, it's like an unwrapping, you know what I mean? And you unwrap it and it's activated as soon as you unwrap it. You can spell it to be like that. And then that symbol, is activated once the ribbon's off. So just, witchy crafts. All kinds of creative stuff like that. Meditate. Meditation is your friend. Meditation doesn't have to be long drawn out. You don't have to sit on the floor. If you rather lay down, if meditation means that 10 to 20 minutes before you fall asleep, you're tired, but you're not going to fall asleep, but you are relaxed. If that's the only time you can meditate and get it in, then do that. But the point is, meditation, you're just trying to quiet your mind long enough for peace and reflection, and to possibly receive messages, or to emit something, emit energy. In the subconscious, it's stuck, but you need to quiet everything down for it to come to the forefront. You won't get to that point if you don't shut it down. So that's why we want to meditate. Again, the mini spells, the coffee spell, the shower spell, that sort of stuff. And lastly, invite whimsy. If you're fortunate enough to be able to color your hair a funny, not funny, but a different color, maybe you can just do a section or something like that. Or maybe if you can't do your hair, certain eye makeup, your clothes, even if it's just a t-shirt with a witchy saying or some sort of symbol on it, or earrings or jewelry or whatever it is, go ahead and do that. That's cool too. That's a way to add just a little bit of whimsy in your house. You can decorate the house a little bit, do all that sort of stuff. But anyway, that's how you can add a little bit more whimsy, huh? Into it. And just, of course, it's a mindset as well, but I'm just talking about kind of the physical stuff. It gets you a little bit more in the mood, the whimsical lifestyle, and invite the fae in. No, be careful inviting the fae. And I'm joking about that. I'll do more of a video about that part. But anyway, invite whimsy. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have as far as answering the question, is witchcraft enough? And if it's not, some practical approaches to maybe fill that gap in. If all else fails, I go back to take a break, walk away from it. Doesn't mean exchange it for something else. Just pause. Everything's on the shelf. The candles you got, keep them on the shelf. Keep them in the cabinet. the witch books and all the, everything you have. That's okay. They stay on the shelf. They're there. They're waiting for you when you get back. That's okay. Take a break if you need to. That's perfectly fine. That might be there's so many reasons. We all have different paths. So it's cool. Just let that happen. And thank you for watching. This is Mika, Leap Taken. Please like this video if you've enjoyed it. And please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And if you've already subscribed, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, bye-bye.